England were booed off away to Andorra when it was 0-0 at half-time less than 20 years ago. Steve McLaren's side then went on to win it 3-0. Even David Nugent's scoreboard sort of. 2 qualifiers, 2 wins for Tuchel so far. Nothing less than an entertaining goal-filled victory to 0 will do here for most England fans. That's the reality. Thomas Tuchel promised us entertainment, so can he deliver on a sunny day in Barcelona against Andorra? Let's find out on Talksport with your team of former England captain Stuart Pearce alongside your England commentator Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Adrian, and a very good afternoon to you for Game 3 of Thomas Tuchel's reign. So the first dates were successful and March's nights out have left both parties wanting more. Now the first trip away together for the footballing equivalent of a Bond film at the cinema. The end result might be a formality. Nobody's quite sure how the script will get us there. Because this is the international version of a team chasing the Champions League places against a side in the Southern League. Newcastle away to Telford, if you will. Andorra haven't even scored against top 10 opposition for 20 years. It's 2 years since they netted in a competitive game against anybody. But England must try and turn this into a worthwhile exercise, beyond the accrual of the points that take them a step closer to the World Cup. And Thomas Tuchel's outlined what they will be focusing on. Attacking patterns, counter-pressing and maintaining focus, getting the right balance between patience and bringing speed to the game. He's also talked about this being the last camp where he feels he can experiment. So if the starring roles have already been established, here's a chance for the supporting cast to stake a claim on a day when his team should neither be shaken nor stirred. This how the team lines up: Pickford in goal, Jones, Konsa, Byrne and James, Bellingham, Jordan Henderson and Palmer, Rodgers, Kane and Madueke. Andorra have Iker Martinez in goal. In front of him, back 5 are Bora, Yavera, Christian Garcia, Oliveira and Sam Nicolas. Then Rodrigo, Guillen, Babo and Servos in midfield, with Cucu Fernandez up front. England in all white with dark blue trim, and Andorra in predominantly yellow but blue flashing down the left-hand side of the shirts. It will be England that will get us underway. It's the third game of Lee Carsley's tenure where the wheels came off. Promise of back-to-back wins quickly dissipating in the face of defeat. It's almost inconceivable that Thomas Tuchel won't make it 3 out of 3 in the Barcelona sunshine, but on a day when the result is a given, will the performance breed confidence for tougher battles ahead? Referee Page gets us underway, and England kicking from right to left in possession from the kickoff, and Jordan Pickford allowed to venture almost to the edge of the centre circle before thrashing a long ball forward that's difficult to deal with, and Palmer can pick it up on the edge of the penalty area, lays it back for Reece James, back from him to Byrne. Dan Byrne will run round it before hitting a brisk ball back in James's direction. Quick interchange of passes between him and Jordan Henderson, who's back in the starting lineup for England for the first time since November 2023, having not started any of the last 20 internationals. He plays it forward towards Ezri Konsa, who then finds James, and England lose out with Palmer stretching, unable to bring the ball under control on the left-hand side of midfield. 0-0 with plenty of England possession in the early stages, as you would expect. Madueke with the first chance to take it on. Finds James to Bellingham, whose right-footed shot is on target, but comfortably dealt with. Iker Martinez, who's the star in this Andorran side. He's expecting a busy afternoon, Stuart. 90 seconds in, it's 0-0 here on Talksport.
Yeah, I've just looked at our lineup of the back 3, let's say, that we've got, because Jones has gone straight into midfield from the offset, and I still feel as though we'd be better suited if James was the right-sided centre-half, Dan Byrne being the left-sided centre-half, with Konsa in the middle. I think that's a much natural balance, and it will give the opportunity for James to drive on, push on with his right foot a little bit.
Well, England have it in a big area of sunshine over on the far side. The shadow from this main stand extends pretty much from the left-hand touchline over to the far side of the centre circle, but it is a very hot day. High humidity as well. Temperatures in the high 20s, the humidity in the 70s in terms of percent. A very different day to that you're having back home. I know a lot of local cricket matches up and down the country have fallen victim to the weather today. Hardly a customary June afternoon back home, but very much so here in Barcelona, the southwestern corner of the city. Dan Burn in possession in the centre of those three centre-halves as England have it now with Reece James. And Ezri Konsa on the right of the three receives possession, and there's a real patience about the way that England are building up from the back. James now trying to take it on. Looked as though he was fouled by Rodrigo, just having his shirt pulled, but play will go on with England maintaining possession, and Konsa can bring it forward. He plays it out towards the England right-hand side. Curtis Jones is in possession. Jones nominally at right back for the first time in an England shirt from the start, and a role that he's fulfilled only a couple of times for Liverpool in nearly 50 appearances this season. Rodrigo trying to win it back. A lovely piece of play by him. He's then fouled by Reece James. Rodrigo picking it up and dragging it with his right foot past Reece James, who was forced to foul him just to curtail his progress, and it's a free kick that Andorra will take in their right back position. 0-0 here on Talksport.
Yeah, Konsa's picked the ball up on a few occasions, and I think he's on to shove it out to his wide man, being Rodgers on occasion and being on the last occasion Jones. They need the ball a little bit earlier. They really do, so they can get on the half turn at least.
England able to win it back with Morgan Rodgers driving forward. Madueke chasing after it. Javera returning to the back line for Andorra today, who slid in and toe pokes it away for a corner, which will be taken over on the England right-hand side.
Yeah, I was talking to Aid pre-game, and I said maybe one of the reasons Dan Burn's in the team, just to mix it up a little bit. We've got a set play now, and set plays are absolutely vital, and his height could be invaluable if you're looking for somebody to break the deadlock or secure possession in the opposition's box from a set play.
England with 90% of the possession through the opening 4 minutes here on Talksport. The corner that Palmer will take is going to be a left-footed in-swinger from the England right. Konsa making a run across the near post. Head's going up for it. It was Byrne that got to it, but can only steer it back out towards Palmer, who, in making his way to the edge of the penalty area from the corner quadrant, is then flagged offside. Having looked at the highlights this morning of Andorra's most recent game, which was a 3-0 defeat in Albania, defensive deficiencies are quite easy to come by. Predominantly the ability to be able to get a run on Oliveira, who's playing on the left of the three centre-halves, and get in behind him. Near post runs, attacking set pieces were a constant problem in that game, as was the defensive positioning of the right-back Boris. So plenty of things that England will have highlighted. They know that they can try and exploit here today. England have possession with Palmer in the heart of the midfield, laid back to Madueke by Kane. Palmer plays the way that he's facing into the midfield for Henderson. Reece James now to Konsa. Konsa will be able to venture forward, but a lot of England's approach play is being played at a mediocre tempo. They're just feeling their way into the game rather than playing with the swiftness that I know Thomas Tuchel is hoping for. Palmer's got it again, wearing 20 for England. Just given a little shove by Guillen as he lays the ball out towards Konsa. It's a good ball over the top of the left back. Play back in for Bellingham, who lets it run. The shot came in and was blocked. It was Rodgers that came close to it. And then he tries to win it back. Curtis Jones has given a free kick away. But that was England's best attacking player of the game so far. Yeah,
better play there. Ball switch to Konsa, playing that right of the three centre-halves, and it was a forward pass beyond, over the back of the Andorran back line that created all the chaos and mayhem in the back there.
I will keep you up to date with everything else that's going on today. There's already been one World Cup qualifier that's finished. A narrow win for the Bosnians at home to San Marino. Just one goal enough there. This one 0-0 with 6 minutes played here on Talksport. Doran side who've only won 7 out of 156 competitive internationals in their history. 7 friendly victories on top of that as well, but just the 14 wins, and their record against the so-called elite teams, not great. Their record against top 10 opposition in their history, played 32, lost 32, conceded 132, scored 2. Here's Palmer. Palmer on the left-hand side of the midfield. For England, back to Reece James again. James to Byrne and on to Conser. Ezri Konsa in his white boots will come forward. He's got Rodgers always on in space, out on the right-hand side when he picks it up, but he's shown a reluctance to play it to his Aston Villa teammate so far, Ezri Konsa. Now it's worked forward towards Jones. Bellingham makes a darting run down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Kane trying to get free in the box. If Bellingham can get himself into a position to deliver the cross, he got past Oliveira, but the cross was well claimed by Iker Martinez, diving out and catching it about 4 or 5 yards off his line. 0-0.
Yeah, as you picked up there, Konsa's got to shove the ball out. He should be playing the game two-touch, basically. Ball into his feet, gets it out his feet and shove it straight wide to Rodgers as quickly as he possibly can. He's delaying a little bit, but I think because he's never naturally played as a sort of more attacking fullback. If he did, he would understand exactly what the fullback wants and how soon he wants the ball at his feet.
James works it back for Jordan Pickford. Pickford's ball slightly wide of Jordan Henderson. He was able to recover it. And Henderson, then having got it back to Pickford, is just involved in a little bit of a discussion with him about what might have happened there. Getting the ball forward more quickly out towards Rodgers seemed to be the gist of the message. Bellingham's lost it. It's well won back by Savos, whose ball down the side of Ezri Konsa is dealt with before Cuca Fernandez, the Andorran number 9, can get there. Fernandez then picking it up, coming inside. Tries his luck, chancing his arm, trying to win a free kick, but the Croatian referee Igor Pajac wasn't having that. And England are able to bring it away. It's only the second international ever played on this ground. The first, a victory for Spain against Albania some 3 years ago. England's first match in Barcelona since the aforementioned victory away to Andorra, away in inverted commas, a game that was 0-0 at half-time. In fact, England's last 2 games in Barcelona have both been Andorran home games, and England haven't scored a first-half goal in either. Madueke trying to make his way forward now to get England in a position to rectify that, and he's been fouled by Borra, the right back, and it's going to be a free kick which will be taken by England about 5 yards drift to the edge of the penalty area. But 9 minutes in, it remains 0-0 here on Talksport. It's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, as I say, got a good opportunity here on the left-hand side, probably about 18 metres out between the point of the box and the touchline. Good opportunity to whip the ball in. England loading the box up with six players, bringing the edge of the box.
Henderson's the furthest forward of those. He's standing near the penalty spot. Kane is there, his yellow captain's armband glinting in the sunshine. Henderson trying to force defenders back. Ball is delivered in towards the far post where Konsa goes down in a wrestling match with Oliveira. And he's back up on his feet and he's saying to the Croatian referee that should have been a penalty. It's an incident that will be looked at by VAR Fran Jovic. Just having a look at a replay here. Is there a case to answer, Stuart, or not?
Well, Konsa's tried to peel off round the back of him, and as I say, he was there was contact. There is no doubt about that. It's just what the referee or VAR deem enough contact. No, he just said play on.
Yep, the check is complete and play will resume with a throw to Andorra in the left back position. They get it forward towards halfway, but only about 15 yards from halfway when England win it back with Konsa. Konsa to Jones, who is winning his 5th cap for England today. Lays it through the midfield towards Dan Byrne. Here's Reece James again. James has scored a wonderful free kick against Latvia in the last England international. His first start since September 2022, and he's kept his place under his old club manager today. Here's Henderson to James, and then back again for Byrne, who's seen plenty of possession in these early stages as the deepest lying of England's outfield players in the middle of what is almost invariably a back 3. Noni Madueke coming in off the left-hand side, back into James. Bellingham then is given a little shove by Guillen, and he's fouled. So it's another England free kick, about 15-16 yards outside the penalty area, and a chance to tease it up. Dan Byrne will make his way forward now to the edge of the box, and then immediately starts walking back as the free kick is well short for Cole Palmer. Palmer's deflected ball in towards the near post, and Kane got a run almost there to get past Oliveira, but it was clear. Byrne picks it up. Back from him to Jordan Henderson. Henderson 20 outside the penalty area goes wide to the England right for Curtis Jones. Back for Henderson again. Looks up. It's a long crossfield ball down towards Madueke. Madueke led with the edge of the penalty area. Into the feet of James. To Henderson. To James again. Now Cole Palmer takes over. A team that's got a huge Chelsea influence on him. Back from Byrne to Konsa. Konsa working forward down the right-hand side of midfield. Great movement from Jones. Good ball out towards Rodgers, who plays it back. And his cross hits Christian Garcia. And goes out of play for a second England corner.
Yeah, Rodgers has broken behind the back line on a few occasions. I'm still adamant that we haven't got the balance right with the back three. Konsa's not prepared to drive at people, commit or shove the ball into wide players quickly enough, in my eyes, and I'm sure Reece James on this left-hand side as well. It's a slightly unnatural position for him.
Corner taken short. Jones with the ball in, headed away. Comes out for Madueke on the edge of the box. Oh, swerving left-footed effort. Well dealt with by Iker Alvarez in the goal, who's able to tip it away and put it out for a throw which will be taken by England quickly down by the corner flag, a little bit too quickly. Coming across the cover is Oliveira, and his high up and under clearance goes just the right side of the corner flag from an England perspective to give them their third flag kick of these early stages. That was better from England. Madueke with a good, well-struck shot from the edge of the penalty area that was well seen and well saved.
Yeah, and a top quality save as well by Alvarez. Parried it away, got two good hands to it and parried it out the danger zone.
He's being hemmed in here by Rodgers as the corner comes in. Corner number 3 will be followed by corner number 4 because Yavera's just headed that one away. Now for another corner which will be taken. Here's the most experienced player at a decent level, Iker Alvarez, the Andorran goalkeeper. He's played more than 100 league games in the top 3 divisions in Spain. Nobody else in the Andorran squad comes close to numbers like that. In comes corner number 5, swept in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Goalkeeper got stuck in traffic a little bit. He was claiming he was impeded. He got a hand on it to paddle it away. Back it comes in from Madueke. 2 Andorran centre-halves go for the same ball on the edge of the 6-yard box. They just about get it away, and then Henderson in playing it forward and flicks it off Guillen, and it goes out for a throw that England will take quickly over on the right-hand side.
Yeah, as I say, England have breached the back line on a couple of occasions but failed to slide across the face of goal to get an England player on it, and I've got to say the goalie's made 1 or 2 reasonable, comfortable saves, but reasonable saves as well, and some good defending in that back line by the Andorrans.
Through the opening 15 minutes, 5 shots without reply for England, 90% of the possession. XG still only half a goal or so in England's favour. Got another throw. Play has almost exclusively been in Andorran territory, as you would expect. Certainly the game coming up on Tuesday night at the City Ground against Senegal would appear to be a much more representative test. Senegal in the top 20 of the FIFA World Rankings. We'll bring you that game. The build-up starting at 7 in the East Midlands on Tuesday night here on Talksport. They've got a really good defensive record as well, Senegal. Now Madueke trying to find a way through here past the side that haven't necessarily got a great defensive record. And another corner goes England's way.
Good challenge there by Bora, the right wing back. Madueke done well, dropped his shoulder, tried to go on the outside of him, but good defending, forced another corner though.
Bora, the Andorran right back, one of the new faces in this Andorran side over the course of this season. Made his debut back in September. In comes the latest corner. Goalkeeper got a hand on that, not a convincing one this time. Andorra in their yellow shirts thrash it away. Back out towards Palmer, the corner taker, and he's won yet another one. England on course at the moment to win about 40 corners if they keep coming at this rate. This is number 7.
Yeah, England need to block the goalkeeper in and then just float the ball in there.
Palmer's got it from one that was taken short. It took a little deflection on its way through and out for yet another corner. It was a good defensive deflection, that one, because it spun it over the head of the on-rushing Kane at the far post. And goes out for another corner. Palmer, who's on corner duty from each flank, will trot across to take this one on the right. So this will be an in-swing. And Jones again showing for the short one on the corner of the penalty area. But Cucu Fernandez is keeping an eye on him to stop that happening. Kane waits by the penalty spot. Burn that a little bit further forward, trying to steal a march on his man. Probably the worst of England's corners so far. That one was easily headed away. Not only as far as Jones, though. Jones to Bellingham. Back out for Palmer. Palmer's left-footed ball in. Chested down inside the penalty area by Konsu. Tried a snapshot. It was blocked almost at source. Andorra scoop it clear. And then Kane will chase after a ball that was hit truly enough to find the goalkeeper. That back pass is swept away and out for a throw that will be taken over on the England right-hand side. Played 18 minutes here on Talksport, and relatively few signs of an England breakthrough so far.
I think what they need to do, they've forced so many corners, Jim. What they need to do is isolate Dan Burn with his marker. The other players vacate that area and just float a ball. So it's a floated ball rather than a driven ball.
Now James over the top of the back line. Madueke through the 6-yard box. Touch a little bit heavy from Jones, who pulls it back. And Kane has scooped it wide. Can't believe that he's missed the target.
Incredible, great ball behind. Madueke drove behind the back line, cut in and was waiting for the right pass. Put a beautiful ball across the face of goal, caused havoc there. It missed Kane first time round. Jones kept it alive and Kane just couldn't get his body around enough to bring it inside the near post. So we've had a few skirmishes, but not enough to get a really clear sighting of the goal.
He's got such a good record in qualifying games, Harry Kane. He has scored in 11 of his last 12 qualifiers. There's 16 goals in that run. And if you consider the last 26 qualifiers that he started in, matches for the World Cup or the European Championships, he's only failed to score in 2 of those 26. He's got 35 goals in those games. Pretty much half of the international goals that he's ever scored. His next will be his 72nd for his country. That will take him 20 clear of Wayne Rooney in second place in that all-time list. Here's Jordan Pickford, who's in second place now in England's list of all-time goalkeepers in terms of the number of caps won. Up to 76 for Jordan today. A long ball forward from him. Madueke chasing after it. Wanting the ball into feet, I think, on the halfway line. It's worked longer. And then clear by the Andorrans out towards this right-hand side for Borra. And they've done well just to play round Cole Palmer there. Ball played forward. Burns got time and is told that is the case. And then we'll turn it back to his goalkeeper. Pickford slides it out from the back to Jones, who immediately plays it forward here for Jude Bellingham. He can turn and bring the ball forward over halfway, trying to get away from Servos, who is playing as a left winger today, but he's a left back really as well. So they've effectively got 6 defenders on the field. But he's playing on the left of the 4 and a 5-4-1 for Andorra. Here's Byrne. Hitting it out towards that far touchline. Difficult one for Rodgers to try and take because he's looking into the sun. It was just flicked away from him by the fullback Sam Nicolas. And put out a play for another England throw before they come again with Dan Byrne. 20 minutes in. It's 0-0. Much more activity in the Andorran technical area than there is in the England one at the moment. Konsa getting it forward out towards the right-hand side of the England midfield. Now Curtis Jones to Rodgers and back again. Now into the feet of Henderson and laid back for Konsa. Jones making a run forward and was a victim of a collision. Looks pleadingly at the referee, who allows play to go on. England have still got it there. 20 outside the box here on Talksport. Still 0-0 as those shadows encroach past the centre circle now, back out towards that far touchline, and that will be a little bit of sanctuary for the England players. Konsa working it in here. It's deflected. Kane goes down. It might break Bellingham's way inside the penalty area, but the net result of all of that is yet another England corner.
Yeah, I think when you look at the way Andorra defends so deeply, the 2 players that have got the most room, that could have the most effect, are the left and right side of the 3 at the back, and neither of them are driving enough and committing players that are in front of them, in my opinion.
This latest England corner taken short. Palmer for James. Now you would imagine that with the experience that Reece James has got, he would be a player that would be able to drive forward from that wide position as a centre half to try and get a little bit more joy and engage people. He hasn't shown.
No, but he's on not a natural side to him. As I say, he's not naturally pushes outside. He wants to come inside on his right foot where there's more sort of Andorran players banking up. The room isn't there.
He's played it forward now towards Palmer. Palmer's down by the corner flag, can't twist to get a cross in, and then finds his way forward, blocked by Rodrigo. Andorra trying to bring it away. Madueke came across to tail that, and then so too did James, who's fouled his man. Cuca Fernandez is down, and it's going to be a free kick that will be taken by the Andorrans. It's going to be a fascinating listen Wednesday, where Thomas Tuchel will be speaking to you exclusively on Talksport. Between 1 and 4, Adrian and Stuart hosting a special show from St George's Park, and Thomas Tuchel will give an hour of his time. It's going to be your chance to get your question in to the Three Lions gaffer. It's going to be a fascinating listen to see what Stuart and Adrian have got to say to him as well, whether it's the greatest player he's ever worked with or how many sugars he has in his tea. Let us know. Send your questions in on 03717 223344. And Thomas Tuchel with us between 1 and 4 on Wednesday for an exclusive chat live on Talksport. It's 0-0 tonight, and then Dan Burn acknowledges straight away, having just caught Cuca Fernandez, that he's made a mistake. It's a free kick to Andorra, level the edge of the England penalty area, 0-0.
Yeah, I'm certainly hoping that our listeners will come up with a better questions than how many sugars in your tea, but you never know.
Where's a big Fleetwood Mac fan?
Well, we're going to try and scratch under the surface of Fleetwood Mac and see if he's been to Die Totenhausen.
I wonder if he has.
Time will tell.
Andorra with a chance to take a 1-0 lead. Free kick, level the edge of the England penalty area. Left-footed ball, swung in, should be easily headed away. It is. Right-footed shot from distance, and that flies over the bar. Who's cleared out towards Borra, who's shaped up about 25 yards out, but he couldn't keep his effort down. And he goes out of play for a goal kick. That is the first Andorran shot of the day. England have had 7 so far to show for their 88% possession through the opening 25 minutes here on Talksport.
Yeah. I think at this stage, Jim, I would tinker with the set plays a little bit more, try to isolate Dan Burn and just float the ball to him, so make it a contest rather than deliver an accuracy ball. Certainly the left and right side, his central defenders more advanced and get forward, and probably Cole Palmer, if he could just show a little bit more quickness on the ball, if you like. He's quite languid in the way he plays, and I don't think that suits this game and this instant at the moment.
Pickford driving the ball for Jones, going up for it on halfway. It's poked back, and an opportunity for the Andorrans to bring it forward again. Down the left-hand touchline with San Nicolas. It just ran out of room, couldn't keep it in. It goes out for a throw that he thought was his, or at least he's pretending that he thought it was his. Has gone out for an England throw to be taken over on the far touchline. I think San Nicolas probably took the throw himself to give him more of a chance of being able to sprint to get back in position to face the England throw, which will be taken level with the edge of their own penalty area. 26 largely forgettable minutes behind us. 0-0 the score. And England have now got up to 390 minutes since they last conceded, so 6.5 hours without conceding a goal. Last concession coming under Lee Carsley. Thomas Tuchel hoping to become the 5th England manager to win each of his first 3 games in charge today. We'll just let you ponder who the others might have been. The ball is worked back to the goalkeeper, and it's laid right-footed upfield by Ika Alvarez, and then brought down by Noni Madueke on the England left-hand side. A few England players just looking a little bit frustrated, knowing that perhaps this hasn't been a perfect execution of the game plan so far. From that point of view, that they need to try and up their game a little bit. Henderson played Played in by Rogers, and now Curtis Jones chips one over the top with Harry Kane trying to make the run in behind Oliveira. It's cleared out towards the far touchline for Savos, and he has won a throw. Now, those England managers that have won each of their first three, Walter Winterbottom did it, Glenn Hoddle, Sven and Steve McLaren all won their first three England games in charge. There have been 6 other managers that have won their first 2 and failed to win number 3, including most recently Lee Carsley. It hasn't been a vintage England performance so far. In hot conditions, it won't be that dissimilar to those that England can expect to face this time next year in the World Cup qualification, willing of course. Dan Burn laying the ball back for his goalkeeper. Pickford taking a couple of steps back, playing it back for Reece James. James finding his keeper again. Pickford chipping it forward. Palmer comes to meet it on the bounce, and it was a poor touch from him. And Andorra win it back with Guillen, and then the blonde-haired midfielder Babbo, who's of German extraction but playing for the country of his mother's birth, lays it back for his goalkeeper. And Iker Alvarez clears towards halfway again. Still 0-0. With 28 minutes gone now on Talksport. Henderson forward towards Curtis Jones. Jones just drawing Rodrigo towards him. He's able to slip it down towards the left-hand side for Reece James. James towards Madueke. England players perhaps guilty of not taking a responsibility on an individual basis so far, Stu.
Yeah, as I say, we're just struggling for that gap. We've gone down the outsides on a couple of occasions, drew crosses across the face of goal, but failed to get on the end of anything and open up clarity in our shooting lines.
Madueke with a little step over, playing it back for Reece James, who's behind him. First thought to get it onto his right foot again. Down towards Madueke again. Friend to drop the shoulder and take on the fullback on the overlap. When a cross does come in, it's headed away by Oliveira and slid clear, but the referee saw something and has given a free kick to Andorra inside their penalty area. Still 0-0 between Andorra and England here on Talksport as the referee has a word with Jude Bellingham. It's quite an animated discussion. Harry Kane comes across and just calmly puts his right hand in the chest of Bellingham to try and usher him away from that particular line of discussion.
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel's just come to the touchline there, just willing his team to up the tempo, basically, is the message that he's just put across. Slow build-up suits the Andorrans.
But here's Morgan Rogers, who might be able to do exactly that. Kane bent his run to stay onside. Good, strong challenge on him from Garcia, who allowed himself a double fist bump. He was very happy with that particular piece of defending. Got it away from Harry Kane, where he had to win it cleanly. Did so. Ball goes out of play for an England throw. And England will come forward again over on the far touchline. In the sunshine with Rogers. Back from him to the edge of the centre circle for Ezri Konsa. Villa man to Dan Burn. Second England cap for Dan Burn today. England have lost possession, an opportunity for Andorra to be able to bring the ball forward, down towards the right-hand touchline. Cuco Fernandez, who's debuting for Rosas, up front for Andorra today, just loses out. Won back well by James from Guillen, back towards Pickford, who's seen much more of the ball than he might have anticipated in the opening half hour. And England will be able to get it forward again with Konsa, but he looks up. And when he's got the ball at his feet, it just all slows down a little bit again. Falling into the feet of Curtis Jones. Jones to Henderson. It's Jones once more. This time, Jude Bellingham drops that a little bit deeper. 20 yards outside the penalty area as he lays it off to his left-hand side for Reece James. James to Henderson to Konsa. Now Henderson trying to work it inside the box. Bellingham have made the run. Header away from Oliveira. Alleviates the danger from an Andorran perspective. But Fort England will come again, winning it back. Madueke with a clever little galloping step over. Can't work the angle to get a shot in, but he can find Morgan Rogers. Back he comes from Madueke, gets to the byline, chips it in. Oliveira heads it away. And Lonnie Madueke's had a couple of nice moments in this game.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's the one that's threatened on that occasion. He threatened on the right-hand side, but you've got to give credit to the Andorran backline that has filled between the posts up particularly well and managed to get blocks either with their head or their feet.
Give you today's England trivia question very shortly. If you're not familiar with that, I'll give you something to think about. Adrian Stewart will have a think about it. We'll discuss it at half-time. We'll give you the answer about 20 minutes into the second half, something like that. And I'll give you that England trivia question very shortly here on Talksport. As England restart the game with a throw over on the far touchline. Byrne almost put under telling pressure by Fernandez, but he could get it back to his goalkeeper. And Byrne plays out from the edge of the penalty area towards Cole Palmer. Hands out from Palmer suggested he wasn't happy with his lack of passing options. Henderson trying to play a long one over the top. Morgan Rogers chased after that. Now come Alvarez to the left-hand side of his penalty area, and he fielded it very well. Still, frustratingly from an England perspective, 0-0. And after a flurry of early half chances, there's been very little of any note in the last 10 minutes, Stuart.
No, there certainly is. The Andorrans have settled into the game and defending quite well. They're happy in numbers, happy defending the box, and England probably looked slightly better when we flushed them out slightly and managed to get in behind their wing backs, which is few and far between.
So England with an opportunity to bring it forward again. Henderson down towards Rogers, back for Henderson. Now Byrne inside the centre circle, picks it up, looks to his left. Now belatedly plays it down towards Reece James. James saw the run of Madueke, but then cut back inside, back towards Byrne again, and it's still all very static.
Yeah, as I say, we know that Reece James got the ability to break forward, but playing in the position that he is, he will never break forward because he can't go on the outside, or has got a tendency not to because he's right-footed.
Now Rogers to Bellingham, better ball out towards Madueke. Good touch with his left foot, flicking it back. Bellingham from distance, beautifully struck. But he was a good 26, 27 yards out. And although he got a nice shape on the shot, it was easy for Alvarez to shuffle a couple of yards to his right and make a comfortable save.
Yeah, once again, Alvarez, sensible saves. Bellamy caught it reasonably well, but the pace on the grounds took some of the sting out of the ball, and the goalie moved well and got his body behind it.
Long clearance from Alvarez, which bounces onto the head of Reece James, and then the Andorran right back Bora gets it, and Henderson works it back for Jordan Pickford. Pickford straight away diverts the ball out towards the England right-hand side for Curtis Jones. From him to Henderson. Now to Byrne. Byrne with a long left-footed ball over the top. Madueke chasing after that. Stretches, tries to get his left foot to it, and has done well to drag it from the dead ball line back, keep it in. Andorra have been able to bring it away down the right-hand side, and it goes out of play for a throw to the hosts. So here's today's England trivia question. Talking about goalkeepers, Jordan Pickford winning his 76th cap today. James Trafford on the bench. Trafford is the third goalkeeper in an England squad in the last 10 years or so to have been born in the Cumbrian town of Whitehaven. Who were the last 6 men to play in goal for England who were Southerners? And my loose definition of Southerner is born south of Birmingham. So there are no trick questions here. It's not someone that you think is a Northerner who's ended up being born in the south or vice versa. Just who are the last 6 players to play in goal for England who were born south of Birmingham? I'll let you have a think about it. Adrian and Stuart will discuss it towards the end of half-time. I'll give you the answer about 20 minutes into the second half. If you want a little reference point, I will tell you the last Southerner to play in goal for England who doesn't qualify, so you'll know therefore that you're coming from this point on, and that is David James. So the 6 players born south of Birmingham to play in goal for England since David James won his last cap.
Well, I can tell you Nigel Martin, because I think he's from the West Country.
He is from the West Country. Whether he fits into that particular time frame is something for you to consider. But Nigel Martin from some blazing Corn? I don't know, but Cornishman Nigel Martin. You're not missing anything here. The players are just having a drinks break after one of the Andorrans was caught. It's going to be a drop ball to England to restart play. That little break has just given Thomas Tuchel the opportunity to get his players over and maybe just try and reiterate a couple of the things that were talked about before the game that he hasn't seen so far. With 37 minutes in, it's still Andorra 0, England 0. Ball out towards Morgan Rogers. The crowd here doing their bit to try and get behind England to encourage them. It's a mistake by Byrne. Madueke has spared his blushes there, because it was a ball that was intended by Byrne for James but missed him, and Madueke sprinted back 20 yards and was able to keep it in and stop it going out of play for a throw. Now England break down the other side. Kane working it through the penalty area. It's bounced once on the left-hand side of the box. Comes back out of the penalty area for Madueke. Back from him to Reece James. Teased inside the penalty area but easily headed away by Babbo. Henderson is on the end of that and goes out to the right-hand side. Ball inside the penalty area. Might break Bellingham's way after a miscue from Yavera, but he's back on his feet. Should be able to deal with it. Smacked it back towards his goalkeeper and Garcia got in the way. And Andorra just making a mess of getting that clear at the moment. Madueke again with a beautiful piece of skill. Working it through the midfield where Bellingham's quick feet have seen him by a yard of space. Now it goes out towards Rogers. Rogers with a great turn. Getting away from Christian Garcia. Dancing through the 6-yard box but unable to pull it back for Cole Palmer. And it's a panic-stricken Andorran's clearance that finds halfway, 0-0.
It's almost like playground football in there when Andorra start panicking, but they just about done enough there. It was Rogers on that occasion with some great footwork that caused the aggravation, but they had enough players in and around the goal to clear it.
Dan Byrne for England. Second cap for him today, the first coming not long after that famous League Cup triumph for Newcastle, which he scored very nearly scored on his England debut as well. Bellingham with a layoff, and then Rogers coming onto that has blazed from the edge of the D. The deflection that he's claimed didn't convince the referee, and a goal kick has been given. 6 to go to half-time. Still Andorra 0, England 0. Stuart, any positives from an England perspective so far?
Well, I think Madueke and Rogers haven't done too bad within the ranks at the moment. Otherwise, for me, the two wide central defenders, Lewis Skelly coming on and foraging forward when he receives the ball and playing and going beyond his midfield player would be a help. Putting James over to the right-hand side slightly would be a help. And maybe where Curtis Jones is playing, it might be an introduction with Trent Alexander to come into that midfield and mix things up slightly. That's where I see. It's like we talk about, let's put more forwards on to break the deadlock. For me, the deadlock gets broken by tinkering with the back line, which makes those players get on the front foot, which draws the midfield onto them from Andorra and frees more space up ahead of them.
Yeah, I just wonder whether it might be Lewis Skelly getting the first shout ahead of Curtis Jones for the second half, and then Reece James will swap over towards the other side. They can still kind of build up in the same way, but James is on his favoured side. Lewis Skelly showed a good adaptability to the way that Thomas Tuchel wants him to play in that last international, when he did well against Albania and Latvia. The ball in towards the edge of the penalty area here for England's Jude Bellingham, who can't turn into a shooting position. Babbo has gone down just outside his box, and the referee's given the benefit of the doubt and said he was fouled. So it's a free kick about 6 or 7 yards outside the penalty area. We've got more live sporting action for you tonight on Talksport. We'll be at Portman Road. Ipswich's Fabio Wardley fighting Australia's Justice Huni for the interim WBA World Heavyweight title at Portman Road. That's Wardley Huni, Saturday from 7 on Talksport and the Talksport Boxing YouTube channel. John Rawler will be taking you through the action from that tonight. The Suffolk Punch coming your way on Talksport. This one, well, not too much in the way of punches being thrown from an England perspective so far. XG just a shade over 1, only 3 shots on target for all the possession they've had. Got a free kick now with Palmer going back for Consa. 3.5 minutes to go to half time here in southwestern Barcelona. 0-0. A under cloudy skies. Ball worked out towards Madueke. Another good ball to try and find him. That long diagonal's always on. This time he's touched just a little bit too heavy, and that allowed Borra the opportunity to get it away. It's out further down the touchline by Rodrigo, only as far as Palmer. Ricochets back Madueke's way. He lays it back for Reece James, his Chelsea teammate. Forward through the midfield to Jude Bellingham. Bellingham's got time to survey what's ahead of him. Cuca Fernandez now coming across and putting pressure on, but Curtis Jones will lay it back. Bellingham, 15 outside the penalty area, into the feet of Jones. Now out towards Rodgers. Bellingham's got it again, chipping it in. Palmer making the run, but he was very well watched by Yavera, couldn't get past him, and the loose ball ricochets through towards Iker Alvarez in the Andorra goal. We're 2.5 minutes away from getting to half-time at 0-0, away to Andorra yet again, Stuart.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Jim, you shouldn't be surprised when you come to these places. It's really difficult. They bank up behind the ball, and as we've seen so many times before, they play a waiting game, and you have to do exactly the same almost and wait for the deadlock to be broke, which when it does, all of a sudden probably 2 or 3 goals come at the same way, and I fully expect that to be the case. But for the England players, we talked about going forward at the World Cup in a year's time. The likes of Palmer have got to have influence in games like this.
While England's record in history against non-top 100 opposition is a peerless one, 45 wins from 45 games, but within that they've averaged only 3.5 goals a game. So history would suggest that a 3-0 or 4-0 win would be par. Probably not an awful lot to suggest so far that won't happen. Andorra haven't scored in their last 12 competitive internationals, which is a run that's gone into a 20th hour now. A very little sign of anything from them, just one shot off target from Borra. Madueke has forced the best save out of Alvarez with a swerving effort that he saved diving away to his left-hand side, but very little to write home about from an England perspective as we go into the final scheduled minute of the opening 45 here on Talksport, and it's still 0-0. And there'll be plenty for you to get your teeth into, I think, as we have all the reaction from the tunnel here, along with your reaction as well. Rory Jennings taking your calls, giving you the opportunity to have your say on this England performance on 03717223344. It's the number that gets you through to Rory Jennings with your reaction to this England performance and result. And that's from 7:30 tonight here on Talksport. 30 seconds to go to half-time. Maybe a couple of minutes to be added on. Consta for England, venturing forward and finding Dan Burn. Burn with a crossfield ball that wasn't hit hard enough to get towards Madueke, and England have to retreat pretty quickly. An opportunity for Rodrigo to bring it forward, and Jordan Henderson came back just as Rodrigo was trying to work out how to play Cuca Fernandez in. Henderson came back and picked his pocket to get England going again. One additional minute at the end of the first half. We're in it now. 0-0. As it was in Barcelona away to Andorra in both 2007 and 2008, where England came out and won 2-0 and 3-0 respectively in the second halves. Conte goes out towards Rodgers. One last opportunity for England to take a half-time lead. Jones, both forward towards Kane. Kane's ball back behind Henderson. Turned forward by the Andorran midfield, but again they couldn't get it too far forward. Rodrigo's touch already a tired one. Had to do a lot of chasing. Bellingham sending out to the right-hand side of midfield. Back for Burn, the Andorran fans whistling. One in the half-time whistle to be blown. There'll be a big cheer from them when it is. Henderson getting it forward, deflected in towards Bellingham. Bellingham to Palmer. Madueke takes over inside the box. Little flick header. And that the last opportunity of a disappointing first half for England as Alvarez dives to his left and is able to make a comfortable save. And boos from the England support. It's taken 2.5 games for the boos to come out for Thomas Tuchel's England. Came into today with a checklist, things that he wanted to see from England in terms of the performance. Don't know how many ticks he will have on that checklist so far. Forgettable. Half time. Andorra and England now.
Yeah, all I can say is that the best thing to do is just keep it on Talksport, because the most exciting thing, most interesting thing about that first half was Jim's trivia question. It's a toughie without a doubt, but Thomas Tuchel said don't over-expect, don't get impatient, don't get frustrated. What else are England fans meant to do when they're forced to suffer through that? And as an England fan, I'll speak honestly and openly and say that was utter garbage. That first half, totally unacceptable. With the players that England have got wearing the shirt, the 11 that are out there on the grass, they have to do better than that. And actually, Stuart, it's not about a first half that led to frustration because we just couldn't break through a deep block. We had a lot of corners, but basically our main tactic, it seemed, was get the ball to Dan Burn's head. They couldn't even do that because the corners were so bad. With the players that we've got, should we have a tactic of trying to find big Dan Burn if we're England, really, against Andorra?
Well, it should be part of what you've got, that is for sure. But I think we're a little bit slow and laboured on the build-up at the back. As I've said repeatedly during the first half, playing the three at the back's fine, but the left and right three, if you're under no pressure at all, they've got to be natural to take the ball forward or play the ball into wide areas a lot quicker than they are. Konsa is a natural centre-half. He's not naturally... You need two full-backs in that role. And you need a full-back, like James, in his natural position on the other side. Because at the moment, he's a right-footed player playing on the left, and he doesn't want to surge forward with the ball like the best part of his game is. He needs to be playing the other side. You probably, as I said to you before, Lewis Skelly needs to come to left side. That naturally drives with the ball as well to make that overload in midfield. That'll improve things. That'll free more space up in midfield and up front. And also, you've got to keep feeding. Probably our best moments have come from Rodgers and Madueke receiving the ball, going past and putting crosses across the face of the goal. Has probably been our most productive way of scoring a goal. And you've got to feed them early. Sorry, eh?
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm just pleased you're here because you can give us that tactical analysis, because I've fallen into fan mode where I'm just completely and utterly frustrated watching what I've seen. And listen, on Wednesday I'll be quite happy to say this to Thomas Tuchel's face. In fact, hopefully I will get to say it to his face. I've been deeply frustrated. Can't believe he's been anything other than deeply frustrated. You've explained the shortcomings there, and it's fairly obvious when you think about it. Reece James being on the wrong side, Konsa doing what he's doing. It's been fairly obvious, so why hasn't he changed it already? I don't get it.
Well, listen, sometimes in games like this you think, we've worked at it all week, we think it's the right way of going, I've got to at least give it 45 minutes. If you're telling me putting Reece James in a position that's more natural to him as a right side is one of a three at the back, putting Lewis Skelly on, who's wowed us this season, driving forward from left back, who's quite happy to go into midfield and beyond, wouldn't improve us. And Trent Alexander-Arnold playing the role that Curtis Jones is playing at the moment, getting on the ball and showing us that range that he's got to break the opposition up. And to be fair to Cole Palmer, he's got to play with a bit more energy on the ball. He's playing slightly laboured to the conditions, the heat and all of that type of thing, and that won't keep him in the team going forward, to be quite honest with you, because there's so many good players, as we said, that want to play in his position.
Absolutely, and I go back to what Cole Palmer himself said after the Europa Conference League final. He was sick of going sideways and backwards, so he just decided to go forward, and he made 2 goals for Chelsea, who went on to win the final 4-1. It does feel like he's laboured, but he's not the only one. I know already on social media, I know you don't put a lot of store by that, and fair enough, and I don't myself most of the time, but the noise is there, and I think some England fans here even will feel it. Jordan Henderson in the middle of the park, the default setting is sideways or backwards. There's been a couple of balls sprayed out wide, maybe ambitious balls, I don't know, but I don't know, it looks to me like this is Jordan Henderson almost saying farewell to international football. I'm looking at it thinking we've got Declan Rice, one of the players of the year, sitting on the bench. We've got Morgan Gibbs-White, an incredible footballer this season for Nottingham Forest, my player of the year. He's been brilliant. You've got 2 creative forces there, and they're just sitting on the bench, and we can't break down Andorra. So is this really the time, 2025, building up to next year's World Cup, is it Jordan Henderson's time, really?
Well, I don't think today, and the performance and the languid performance that we've seen so far for 45 minutes can be labelled straight at his door. He's playing as that deep line point player that for me, it's the players either side of him that have got more room to drive, and it's down to him to maybe drop into the back line when they do go. But because they haven't gone, he's no need to go anywhere. But listen, I think he's an easy target. I really do. And, you know, if we want to go forward putting in easy fingers at easy targets, by all means do so.
We'll see what happens with the half-time substitutions. I'll ask you this question as well. Which manager has a win percentage of 8.5% but has kept his job for 15 years? That'll be the Andorra head coach, Kodo Alvarez. Rumours he's about to take over at Spurs are said to be well wide of the mark. Can't see Andorra winning. They've had one effort at goal. England have had 2 shots on target despite well over 80% possession. Simply not good enough. Thomas Tuchel said he wanted to entertain us. That simply is not happening. Live on Talksport this afternoon, it's Andorra 0, England 0.
Get ahead of the game every supercharged sporting Sunday on Talksport with Travis Perkins. Make the warm-up a part of your weekly matchday ritual and get an unrivaled preview of all the upcoming unmissable football action with expert predictions, pitch-perfect analysis and a top-flight lineup of guests. Guaranteed. The warm-up with Max Rushton and Barry Glendenning. Tomorrow morning from 11 on Talksport with Travis Perkins. Find everything you need for your landscaping project in stock and available for delivery. Terms and conditions apply.
This summer, don't miss the electrifying new musical that's in tune and in tunics. Inspired by the beloved Disney animation and based on the seriously ancient myth, Disney's Hercules is the epic musical adventure classical civilization would have wanted. Disney's Hercules at Theatre Royal Drury Lane. Book your tickets for the epic experience now.
Someone wins 5k every day. Just spend £30 on your shop and scan the Little Plus app. You might turn bananas into a holiday in the Bahamas. Scan, pay, and you could win 5k. 18 plus, GB only. Daily price draws. Ends 18th of June 2025. Exclusions and T's and C's apply. See lidl.co.uk/5k summer.
B&Q and Trade Point's Big You Can Do It sale isn't over yet. We've added even more unmissable deals in-store and online. Better hurry though, ends 1st of July. You can do it.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at dell.co.uk. Welcome to now.
I'm always up before the birds and the kids. Good thing Costa Express is always up too. Early starts are easier with great coffee. And if I grab one for Bob, I might even get some decent company. Large cappuccino for the bloke who's half asleep.
Oh, you legend. Now that's a proper coffee.
Should kick in just in time for you to remember which end of the screwdriver to use.
Costa Express. Quality coffee every time.
When you're growing a small business, you need someone who understands the ins and outs. And whether you're a tailor or an accountant, you need the tools to succeed. With an HSBC small business banking account, you'll have free accounting tools and access to our business specialists, virtually or in person. Because whatever your small business looks like, we're with you all the way. Search HSBC small business banking account to get started. Subject to application, eligibility, credit check and T's and C's. Visit hsbc.co.uk for details.
World Cup 2026 qualifier.
They've done it!
Live on Talksport.
Thomas Tuchel promised us entertainment, so can he deliver on a sunny day in Barcelona against Andorra?
It's a good ball over the top of the left back, play back in for Bellingham, who lets it run. The shot came in and was blocked. It was Rodgers that came close to it. Madueke through the 6-yard box. Touch a little bit heavy from Jones, who pulls it back, and Kane has scooped it wide. Bellingham from distance, beautifully struck, but he was a good 26-27 yards out, and although he got a nice shape on the shot, it was easy for Alvarez to shuffle a couple of yards to his right and make a comfortable save. And boos from the England support. It's taken 2.5 games for the boos to come out. For Thomas Tuchel's England, forgettable. Half-time. Andorra 0, England 0.
booze as part of the highlights of the first half says it all here in Barcelona. Andorra 0, England 0. We'll get the views of Henry Winter in just a second, but let's look forward to a friendly for Northern Ireland in Denmark. Ian Abrams.
Yeah, their qualifiers don't start till September. They line up with Hazard in goal, McConville, Ballard and Hume across the back, Bradley, Shea, Charles, McCann and Devaney across midfield, Price and Galbraith behind Dion Charles up front. For Denmark, 4 members of the team are playing in the Premier League: Christian Norgard and Christian Eriksen, Damsgaard also at Brentford, and Rasmus Højlund up front from Manchester United. We start in the Parkers Stadium at 6.
Well, the co-host of the brilliant Sunday edition on Talksport, you can catch it tomorrow morning at 9, is Henry Winter, who's here in Barcelona at the game. Were you booing at half-time, Henry?
I wasn't booing. I particularly enjoyed your commentary in the first half. I thought it was absolutely spot on. I thought Madueke was good. He was a bright spot. But what is Dan Burn doing at this level? Okay, it's against Andorra, but we're trying to build a team for the World Cup. Is Dan Burn going to be the centre half? I'd much rather seen Levi Colwell given a game there. We know Mark Gay probably step back in alongside Konza when the real stuff starts. Jordan Henderson, completely echo what you've been saying. Jordan Henderson has been a great servant to England, and I agree with you. I think it should be his farewell, because he's going to be 36 at the World Cup. Are we wanting him to be sprinting around in those sort of hot conditions? He's not really played at sort of elite level for a while. So why don't you try Curtis Jones? And what you've been saying and what Stuart's been saying about the mix-up of right-backs. The game is crying out for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know I'm boring saying this, and I always say this with Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know you're a supporter of him as well. But a player of that quality, you don't go to Real Madrid unless you're an outstanding elite-level player. We know his defensive weaknesses, but did you see Spain against France the other night? Defensive weaknesses, and are those two going to get to the semi-finals and probably further the World Cup? Probably yes. So let's pick our best players. Trent Alexander-Arnold, get him on the pitch, get him spraying those passes, put Curtis Jones in his proper position further forward. Reece James, as Stuart quite rightly been saying, and he would understand it better than anyone as a former left back, Reece James is always turning inside. He's turning into trouble. He's a good player. He doesn't deserve to be there. You asked a great question in the press conference. It was about the 5-4 Spain against France, and you put it to Thomas Tuchel, and this could not be more different. The way he answered it was correct, in that Andorra will have a low block and we've got to break that down. It's a different approach from the opponents. It was all out attack from Spain, then all out attack from France trying to get into it. It was a different game, I get it, but you can't hide from the contrast between what that game was and what this England performance is. We are not looking at World Cup winners at the end of July next year right now, are we? No, I agree, and we've got some fantastic, particularly attacking players. But ask Aston Villa fans, where's Morgan Rogers' best position? He's not a right winger. He's a sort of number 10 and a ball carrier who drives through the middle. He's been outstanding for Villa through that. Ask Chelsea fans, where's Cole Palmer's best position? What happened in the final? He started playing off the right and doing damage. Look, you got Jude Bellingham as England's number 10 and Harry Kane's number 9. Those two are set in stone. Put Cole Palmer in a position where he can do more damage. Do you look at the individuals sometimes as well, though? Because we were talking about Cole Palmer, his body language was a little bit negative. I don't know if he is or not, but he looks like he's affected by the heat, which shouldn't be a factor and can't be a factor at the World Cup next year. Have we got to look at the individual to take the responsibility and do a bit more themselves? Well, I think we always have to, and I think that's completely right. In whatever walk of life you're in, whatever profession you're in, you have to wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, right, I'm taking responsibility for my job, my team, my individual responsibility today and every day. And look, I think they're trying. I just don't think the system is helping them enough. You heard the boos at half-time, and some England fans aren't coming back for the second half, is that right? Yeah, there's footage of them walking outside. Look, they might have been going outside because it is a bit of a melting box in here. Good practice for the World Cup next summer for the fans. I mean, I'm still, calming down temperature-wise from 94, having been in Detroit, which is one of the hottest places I've ever been to, and I'm covering a match, not running around it. So, yeah, look, the fans are... look at this amazing support. They've got two ends here. No other country would take this sort of support, 50 quid a pop for the tickets, which is a bit steep, and look at them here, 6,800 minimum of England fans, and they're being treated to football like this.
Henry, listen, look forward to the show. Thank you very much for joining us at half-time. Henry Winter, co-presenter of the Sunday edition on Talksport. Brilliant show with Sean Custis tomorrow morning. The England fans, I mean, there's flags all four sides. Charlton, who won the promotion playoffs in League One. Leicester, who will face Charlton in the Championship. They're represented by flags. Walsall, Bristol Rovers, Wolves, FA Cup winners, Crystal Palace as well. Flags from all sorts of clubs. And those England fans not happy at all. They booed at half-time. Any wonder? Because it's Andorra 0, England 0. Second half about to get underway live on Talk Sports. Andorra will kick us off. Here's Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot.
Adrian, thank you very much indeed. And no sign of any changes being made at half-time. England in all white with dark blue trim, and they're kicking from left to right. It will be Andorra that get the second half underway. Ball played back to their goalkeeper, and Alvarez will smack it forward over halfway, and an opportunity for England immediately to try and turn over possession, in which they've done. Aconsa's lost it, and here's Cuca Fernandez coming forward inside the penalty area, and he's got a shot in just 20 seconds into the second half, but it's sliced off the outside of his right boot and gone well wide. Just the second opportunity that Andorra have created all day, Stuart.
Yeah, as I say, the Andorrans have defended stoutly, no doubt about that. The work rate's been good, and that's probably kept England to a clean sheet at the moment, but in possession they've been so inept, it's been incredible, and I was expecting a bit more from them technically. If they had that to their game, they might be a little bit more effective.
England lining up, Pickford in goal, Jones, Conserburn and James, Henderson with Bellingham and Palmer ahead of him, and then Rogers, Kane and Madueke as the front three. I'll give the Andorran team in a moment. There is Curtis Jones, laid back towards Ezri Konsa. Now down the touchline, Bellingham's given a shove by Babbo, and it's a free kick which will be taken on the England right-hand side. The Andorran team, Alvarez in goal, Borja Vera, Christian Garcia, Oliveira and San Nicolas, the back five. Rodrigo, Babbo, Guillen and Savos in midfield, and Fernandez up front. And a reminder that the last two England games that have been played away to Andorra in Barcelona, both 0-0 at half-time, but England scored in the opening 10 minutes of the second half on both occasions. One 3-0, and the second one, arguably a better performance, the second one in the 2008-2009 season. They won by 2 goals to 0. England are 15 yards inside Andorran territory. It will be, without doubt, the most famous result in Andorran football history. If they could hold on here for a 0-0, it would also be one of the most incongruous in England's history. England have won their last 18 games against sides outside the top 100 without conceding. But can't find a way through here. They've got possession again. Ball chipped in. Bellingham coming to meet it. Couldn't get anything on it. It was well watched by Oliveira. Just a little flick on the way through to the goalkeeper Alvarez, who can again make a comfortable save. With Talksport in Barcelona, it's still Andorra 0, England 0. Here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, Alvarez, the goalkeeper. The one thing he has got right continually in this game is his positional play. So every time England have had a shot or a semi-effort, he's managed to get his body behind every effort and dealt with everything.
Byrne poking the ball back to his goalkeeper Jordan Pickford. Now Pickford will side for the ball out of the penalty area. Still goalless here, but there has been a goal in that game at the Park in Copenhagen. Ian Abrahams.
Denmark 0, Northern Ireland 1 on 6 minutes. Devaney's ball from the left-hand side for Shea Charles to bundle in from close range. Denmark 0, Northern Ireland 1.
So Northern Ireland leading there by a goal to 0, which would be a tremendous turn up for the books if they could get a positive result in that game. And a friendly that kicked off at 6 o'clock your time. Bosnia beating San Marino 1-0 in a World Cup qualifier earlier. The other game in England's group tonight, Albania against Serbia, kicks off later. Serbia getting their campaign underway. And it's the third game of England's. Don't want to leave tonight with only 7 points from 3 games, because there will be a whole host of noise around this performance and result if England don't win here. Kane laying it back for Curtis Jones. Dan Byrne can come forward now for England. Byrne to Bellingham, and out of the England left-hand side for Madueke, whose first touch was maybe a little bit too heavy, but it drew the defender in. He was able to chip it inside the penalty area. Christian Garcia heads it away, and the ball goes out for a throw that Reece James will take over on the England left-hand side.
Yeah, at the moment, probably the best way I see us getting a goal is maybe drawing a penalty from a fatigued defender potentially, but I'm convinced we'll win the game, there's no doubt about that, but you would like to couple that with a performance, and we've had 45 minutes, Jim, where the performance has not been there.
Now Harry Kane will chase, and the goalkeeper's in the right place to make a save. Madueke on the follow-up, and Kane lashes it into the roof of the net, and finally, the deadlock is broken. Harry Kane with yet another qualifying goal. It's his 72nd for his country in all competitions, and it is greeted with a huge amount of relief from those in white on the field and those in white in the stands. Kane's initial effort hitting the leg of the goalkeeper, ricocheting out Madueke's way, and the ball back through the 6-yard box, met by the sliding Kane to turn it into the roof of the net. Thank goodness for that.
Well, he's just an absolute goal magnet, this boy Kane. His effort was blocked by the goalkeeper pretty well, and when Madueke once again slammed it across the face of goal, I thought he was going to shoot actually. He kept it alive, and Kane done brilliantly well to control a ferocious cross across the face of goal, controlled it brilliantly to steer it into the roof of the net.
Well, he's played 10 games against sides outside the top 100 in the world rankings, Harry Kane, and that's his 13th goal in those matches. It's his 20th in 17 World Cup qualifiers in his career, and it's a milestone goal, the 450th of his career for club and country.
Incredible stats by Kane, and you know full well when England need help, he is the man who steps forward and gets on the end of things when you least expect it almost. You thought his first effort being blocked by the goalie, the chance had gone, Madueke was going to come in and drive one at goal, but he kept the cross alive. Brilliant.
Well, that will take a little bit of the pressure off from the perspective that England will see that the big headlines in terms of the result now receding, but there still will be plenty to be said about the level of performance as things stand right now. 5 minutes into the second half, England ahead. They got a free kick to defend. High ball swung inside their penalty area. It was a really poor one. Bearing in mind how few opportunities Andorra have had to send a ball inside the England penalty area, that one just went straight behind Pickford's goal. And goes out for a goal kick that'll be taken away to the left-hand side. Harry did score in his only previous game against Andorra, a penalty 9 minutes after coming on in that game. And he's broken the deadlock here. Pickford. The slide rule ball out towards Cole Palmer, who turned back inside and was fouled by Babbo. And a free kick that England will take 20 yards outside the penalty area.
Yeah, we've got to utilise this goal as a positive, up the tempo of what we're doing and move the ball around quickly. It's not about physical running all the time, it's about 1 and 2 touch. Move the ball quickly, get turned and commit people to free space for the one of your teammates advanced of you.
Bellingham lays the ball back for Conser, now towards Jordan Henderson. Now down towards Conser again. Right-footed clipped. Ball to the corner of the penalty area where a sliding challenge puts it out of play from Oliveira. And a throw is taken quickly back for Curtis Jones. Such was the in detail post-mortem at the end of the first half. We didn't get an opportunity to remind you of the trivia question. The last 6 England goalkeepers who were born south of Birmingham. That's players who have played, not just called up to squads, but players who have played in goal for England. No tricks. Just the last 6, and I'll give you the answer in about 15-20 minutes time. Harry Kane in possession, right-footed ball that's played forward. Morgan Rogers giving chase and is clear down the left-hand side by Sam Nicolas. Cucu Fernandez chasing after that. He's been very willing as a leader of the line, but has had precious little to work with. Dan Burn could easily play the ball passing for Pickford, and England will be able to bring it forward again. Henderson now down towards Jones. Madueke in space over on the far side for England, which is the left. Rogers has got it. Little clip ball forward. Kane chasing after that, and very well watched by Christian Garcia. Stepped across the line of Kane. Shepherd the ball out of play for a goal kick. Andorra 0, England 1. Harry Kane's goal, and here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw the name Paul Robinson at you at this stage. It'll be interesting to see when the changes are made, whether Thomas has got a two-game plan in his head that he wants to stick to in some way, shape or form, or whether he thinks the performance will need an uplift in some way, shape or form in regard to personnel change.
Andorra play the ball forward down the left-hand side, trailing by a goal to nil. You can throw the name of the East Riding of Yorkshire-born Paul Robinson at me if you like.
East Riding, I believe that's just south of Southampton.
Yeah, just south. Turn right at Rugby. That's where it is. The ball is with Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer coming in off the left-hand side, finding Jordan Henderson, and England still lead by a goal to nil. Just the one. Harry Kane's goal 5 minutes into the second half. Dan Burn. Before he goes through the midfield again, but there's still the build-up from the back is not at the tempo that Thomas Tuchel will have been hoping for, which might disappoint him even more in the second half, after it presumably has been talked about again during the half-time interval. Burn with a long crossfield ball, awkward take, but a clean one from Madueke on his left shoulder, and a clever little drop of the shoulder, getting past Borra, teasing it up towards the far post. It beats everybody but falls Bellingham's way. Bellingham to Conser and back again. Bellingham again with a little step over. Can't work the angle for a shot. He's got yellow shirts all around. Babo's actually done a pretty good job on Jude Bellingham. Right-footed ball inside the penalty area, and that's headed away by Yavera. Comes out to Jordan Henderson. Back from him to Burn. And England forced to build from deep and from the back again. Palmer. Down towards the right-hand side of midfield for Henderson. Palmer showing for it with a greater willingness in this second half. Kane to Palmer and back to Reece James. Now to Henderson. Henderson opening up the body and laying it down towards Conser. Bottom right-hand corner of the penalty area. Bellingham tried to flick on his cross but couldn't reach Kane, and out comes Alvarez to make the save. Still 1-0 England.
Yeah, as I say, Conser there, more advanced on that occasion, just tried to feather one into the box, but just too high for the advancing England player, and Alvarez gobbled it up. Ian Walker.
Ian Walker, okay, was born south of Birmingham. The ball is bouncing in the midfield with an England head to it. Ball played out towards the left, and it goes out for a throw that will be taken by Harry Kane. Marked improvement in the second half? Any improvement in the second half, Stuart?
Apart from the ball hitting the back of the opposition's net, I would say very similar. But, you know, we need to come away with 3 points, and we've taken a step towards that. Andorra have shown nothing to suggest they might restore parity at any given time over the 90 minutes, but it's a case of, well, keep feeding the man who's got it now. Madueke, he is the one that is the most exciting to the eye and the one that's causing problems and feeding the ball across the face of goal.
Yes, his first start under Thomas Tuchel, that cross was comfortably dealt with by Alvarez. He did start the 2 November games and played well. Now, those his only starts for his country before today. He's winning his 6th cap, 11 goals for Chelsea over the course of this season, including that hat-trick at Wolves very early on. Burn laying the ball back for Pickford here, who will clear left-footed, and they go straight out of play for a throw. I mean, the chances of an Andorra fight back, statistically, you would say, are very slim. I've talked at length about the fact that it's 20 years since they scored a goal against a top 10 opposition in a competitive game. They haven't scored in the last 12 and a half competitive internationals now since a goal away to Israel 2 years ago next week. They didn't score at all in their Nations League campaign, which were all matches against sides outside the top 100 in the world. Palmer coming forward now towards the edge of the penalty area, and a deflection on his shot takes the sting out of it. It loops up off Borra and was comfortably dealt with again by the diving Ike Alvarez. And still, Andorra, one exceptional set piece away from an exceptional result. 1-0 England lead, but a little bit better from England in this second half, which is now some 14 minutes old here on Talksport. A reminder, we've got the boxing coming up for you tonight on the Talksport network and the Talksport Boxing YouTube channel. Fabio Wardley taking on Justice Huwney for the interim WBA World Heavyweight title, and that is at Portman Road tonight. And here on Talksport, all the reaction from the tunnel. We'll hear from Thomas Tuchel, the headline makers as well, with our England correspondent Faye Carruthers asking the questions, and then Rory Jennings asking the questions of you from 7:30. Your reaction tonight on Talksport after a disappointing England performance so far. Another Andorran shot, which can be filed under highly speculative, off balance on the right-hand side of the penalty area, way off target, and England lead 1-0 with Pickford just trying to find a ball to take the goal kick with.
Now, I've just seen the conditioning coach working 4 players down here to our right, and one of Tuchel's backroom staffs come over and pointed someone out, and it looked like Trent Alexander to me, but certainly all change will be made very shortly. He might even make more than one. You can see 4 of them going through their paces.
Oliveira. He's got it at the back for Andorra. He finds Llobera, and he finds his goalkeeper. England win this, they'll have 9 points from their 3 games. Albania and Latvia both on 3 from their 2 that they've played so far. Serbia beginning their campaign later. Harry Kane from distance. Oh, he just came close to embarrassing the goalkeeper. He clipped one. He wasn't too far off his line, but he had to retrace his steps really quickly there, Alvarez, and got back, hands above his head, just stopped it creeping underneath the bar. A relatively comfortable save in the end to spare his blushes, and it remains 1-0.
Tell you what, top quality vision from the captain there. He received the ball, he's not even looked, and just feathered one beyond the goalkeeper. But I've got to say, Alvarez, once again mentioned earlier, his positional play's been very, very good.
Anthony Barry, one of the coaching staff for Thomas Tuchel, just calling in Berechi Eze and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I think we will see those 2 in a moment. Walker and Rice have been warming up as well. Here comes Madueke, left-hand side of the penalty area, chopping it onto his right foot. But his right-footed effort is comfortably saved by Alvarez. He didn't really get any power in it, just stretching to try and get the shot away. And Alvarez was able to make another comfortable save. But it's slowly getting better.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Trent getting some instruction, Eze as well. I can see Eze coming on for Cole Palmer, and certainly Trent coming on. It might be a straight swap here for Curtis potentially, or a real mixed bag, but with him playing the right side of centre half and then just advancing from there.
Andorra are going to be making a couple of changes as well. I think we'll see Lopez and Mark Garcia come on for them. The ball has been sent high out towards the far touchline, and it's gone out. It's going to be a throw that will be taken over on the England left. They're going to have to play better than this against Senegal, who chopped and changed with their lineup for a 1-1 draw at the Aviva against the Republic of Ireland yesterday. It'll be a stronger team, albeit one still without Sadio Mane, who's away on a personal leave at the moment, that takes on England at the City Ground Nottingham Tuesday night. We will of course be there. Build up at 7, and then Wednesday afternoon between 1 and 4, Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce and Thomas Tuchel. What a 3-ball that is. We'll be hoping to hear from the England under-21 coach Lee Carsley as well, ahead of the under-21 Europeans that begin on Thursday, and that's all between 1 and 4. An exclusive interview with Thomas Tuchel coming your way on Talksport Monday afternoon. Palmer chipping the ball in here, coming to meet it. The goalkeeper put under pressure by Rodgers, just given a little bit of a shove, and he's stayed down. Didn't look as though there was an awful lot in that. Rodgers disdainfully waves Alvarez back to his feet. It will give England the opportunity to make this double change. Eze and Alexander-Arnold, the players that are going to be coming on. First of all, though, it's going to be the Andorran change. No, England are going to go first. So Palmer is going to be the first player off, and Eze will come on to replace him, and Henderson will come off to be replaced by Alexander-Arnold. So Jones will move into midfield, and and Trent will come on at right back. What are your thoughts on those two changes, Stu?
Well, I've been really disappointed with the contribution from Cole Palmer today. I think he played in a languid manner that probably wasn't suited for the game today. I really don't, and had very little effect on the game that we were hoping he would. So I can see that Eza, when he's come on, he's had good impact in the past. So, and he's a player who's on top form at the moment that we've seen at club level. Trent, I think we always like to see Trent come onto the pitch. I'm still a little bit disappointed about the centre-half situation. I think we could have improved the pack by putting some more natural attacking flair in those sort of wide centre-half areas.
Now the Andorran changes. Guillaume Lopez coming on up front, a striker who made his debut for the last 5 minutes against Albania in the last game. He gets longer to catch the eye tonight to replace Cuca Fernandez. And Marc Garcia is on for Rodrigo. Marc Garcia, who tends to play at left back and has taken up station on the left-hand side. So Sam Nicolas will have a slightly different role now for Andorra, whose goalkeeper is okay. Play will resume with a drop ball to him inside the penalty area, and it remains 1-0 to England with that Harry Kane goal on 50 minutes. The difference between the two teams here on Talksport is Curtis Jones in a role that you would imagine he will feel more comfortable with. Pressure from the recently arrived substitute Lopez. Pickford did get the ball away, cannoned off an Andorran pair of heels, but went to safety for England. Bellingham down towards Madueke, just giving a little pull back on the right-hand side of the penalty area. No complaints though, ball goes out of play. England had that flurry of early corners in the game, 8 inside the opening 25 minutes. This the first one since.
Yeah, and it's probably a mark of the lack of pressure that England have put on in this second half, but the longer the game goes on, as we've seen many times before, fatigue sets in for the likes of the Andorrans, and chances become readily available, hopefully.
So with Cole Palmer having left proceedings, it's Alexander-Arnold who will take this corner. He raises his left arm above his head. It's going to be a right-footed away swinger. It's hit in deep. Bellingham was waiting, unmarked on the far side of the penalty area. Didn't quite get to him. Does now via a touch from James and Madueke. Back for Reece James. Drops his shoulder. Clips it in with the right foot. Trent coming onto that. And it's just knocked away from him by Marc Garcia to take England's corner count up to 10.
I'll tell you what, the Andorran number 6, Garcia, has done extremely well. Things in the box. He's got his head onto so much to help his team out today. It's been incredible.
A player who set off on his international debut, but has certainly warmed to his task since. A couple of dozen caps behind him now, Christian Garcia. Alexander-Arnold to take another corner. It's the same setup. Left arm above his head. Swung towards the edge of the 6-yard box and easily knocked away. There's an Andorran player down. It's Babo. After just coming together between him and Bellingham. And it'll be a free kick to Andorra inside their own penalty area. So, let's sort this trivia question out then. I asked you who were the last 6 men to play in goal for England who were born south of Birmingham. Ian Walker's not in that list, he was too old. There have been plenty since then. Rob Green and Ben Foster. I'm being told by Adrian they are both correct. The full list: Nick Pope, Jack Butland, Ben Foster, Rob Green, and then 2 who didn't start for England in goal, who both made substitute appearances for their only cap: Alex McCarthy and John Ruddy. So that's your 6.
I'm a little bit irritated. I've got to say, I've worked with 3 of them.
You're not as irritated as they are that you forgot all about them.
Obviously, I never spoke with them.
Here's Jude Bellingham, right-hand side of the penalty area. England bringing it forward again, trying to double their advantage. Will win another corner. It was brave defending from Yavera, who got his head in the way of Bellingham's cross. He turned his back, blocked the cross, made himself as big as possible. Certainly would have felt that. The corner count up to 11. So those 6, Pope, Butland, McCarthy, Foster, Ruddy and Green. We'll have another England trivia question for you about half an hour into that Senegal game on Tuesday Night Live here on Talksport. Trent Alexander-Arnold across to take this latest corner as England look to double their advantage. Pitch bathed in shadow now. Alexander-Arnold again, right-footed, swung towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Goalkeeper came out. Eza back through a crowd, but wide. And then more wrestling going on involving Jude Bellingham and Christian Garcia. But that was all... Sam Nicolasi was actually, I beg your pardon, it was all innocuous off the ball. There's a shot bouncing through the penalty area a couple of times before going wide, and it remains just 1-0 to England with just over 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think England need to isolate Christian Garcia, get him out of the way of the drop zone where they're aiming for, because he is the one, every time I see the ball come in at height, he is the one that managed to get his head on the ball.
With decent possession in England territory just for a moment, but Mar Garcia couldn't turn it on, and Alexander-Arnold is there, and he'll get it back away from the substitute striker Lopez to Jordan Pickford. Pickford waving his team upfield as he side-foots the ball out towards Trent Alexander-Arnold. Esri Konsa's got it now. Fall from Trent through the midfield for Curtis Jones. Jones on the edge of the centre circle. Turned around the corner by Alexander-Arnold, but it wasn't a great touch. Kane chases after it, but it's cleared away easily. Not the best clearance, only falling Trent's way again. Back down towards Madueke is on the England right now, side-footing it forward and straight past Trent's run. Out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Iker Alvarez away to the right. In international football, do you ever get a stage where you can look at a performance in isolation and go, okay, we'll just write that one off, forget about it, it hasn't been good, but we know what we did wrong, just park it? Or can you not do that at this level?
I think you've got to analyse it. You get to work with a team so few minutes and matches over a season, especially we're looking at going into a World Cup in 12 months' time. You've got to pick it apart almost.
Kane making a really good barnstorming run down the inside right channel. He's pulled the ball back, but behind the on-rushing Bellingham, and it's cleared. Jones with clever play, brought the ball down on his right foot, dragged it with his right foot back behind his left leg to Konsa, and it was a touch that was far too good for Lopez, who fouled him. Now the free kick will be taken by England about 12 yards inside Andorra territory. Still 1-0 England with 18 minutes to go.
I just saw a very frustrated Thomas Tuchel and Anthony Barry come out sort of berating the back line for not moving the ball quickly enough. There's a real frustration there that they haven't done that. They moved it too slowly, too sideways and at walking pace. And as a manager that won back-to-back European Cups said to me, the only difference between you and a lesser player is you can do it quicker. If you don't do it quicker, then you're as good as they are.
Here's Esri Konsa. England would do well to heed those wide Cloughian words. Here's James. Down towards Alexander-Arnold. Jude Bellingham ahead of him. Trent again just gives himself a second of thinking time. Surveys his options, lays it back for Konsa. Konsa forward to Jude Bellingham. Scoop with the outside of the right boot. He just got it past Lopez, but only just. Finds Dan Burn. Burn out towards Madueke. Madueke. Now Jones. Jude Bellingham's 10 yards outside the penalty area. Madueke's got it again. Good brisk turn from him and little pirouette, gets towards the byline. He's taking on and beating Marc Garcia. He's laid it back for Bellingham. Bellingham doing well. Finds a yard of space and then powers a header from Eza just over the bar. Good save that from the goalkeeper. Bellingham doing well. Chipping it into the danger area, and Eza arriving late, got his head to it. Powerful header, was on target. It's a good save.
Yeah, great set-up again by Madueke, but it was Bellingham who put the cross in. I've got to say, the goalkeeper's been very, very good. I wouldn't say he's pulled off outstanding saves, Jim, but he's certainly been in the right place.
Another corner taken short. Trent has overrun that as it comes back to him, and it's a goal kick. Just worked into the feet of Eza and straight back again. He couldn't quite wrap his foot around it before it went over the dead ball line and out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Iker Alvarez. I mentioned earlier his dad is the national coach, Koldo, who himself was a goalkeeper. He was named as Andorra's best ever player at one stage. Lost his first 34 competitive internationals as a manager, and still, 15 years on, is in the job and is very highly regarded. Babos coming off for Andorra, and Mark Valles, who played top flight football in Norway at one stage in his career, is now playing in the Spanish 5th tier. He's going to come on. And the other change, we'll see Rubio replace Borra. Jesus Rubio, a right-sided winger, scored one international goal and comes on to win his 50th cap for Andorra. Congratulations to him for reaching that milestone. So another couple of changes for Andorra. They've got one left. England have still got 3 left. We haven't seen Walker, Rice, Colwell, Gibbs, White, Gordon, Tony, Lewis, Skelly or Chalobah. They're the players that England can still call off the bench, as well as, of course, as the substitute goalkeepers Dean Henderson and Trafford. Little header down through the midfield. Rodgers just losing out. Andorra poke it away from him. Goes out, though, for a throw, which will be taken by Trent Alexander-Arnold, who comes almost into the Andorran dugout to retrieve the ball. Throws it through the midfield for Dan Burn. And it's played forward over the halfway line again. Another opportunity for Rodgers, who's trying to bustle his way through, but who's well stopped there by Mark Valles. And the midfielder wins it back. Now play forward towards the edge of the penalty area. All of a sudden there's an opportunity inside the box. It's a great block from Conser. And it'll be cleared, but it just threatened to break Lopez's way inside the penalty area. And had it not been for that block, it could easily have been 1-1. England survive. Eza in possession. Since he's come on, he's gone out of the left-hand side, and Madueke's switched to the right. Rodgers in a more central role now in support of Harry Kane. Dan Burn inside the centre circle. From him to Conser. Conser to Noni Madueke. Madueke taking in touch and working back through the midfield. That just shows it's only going to take one mistake or one moment of Andorran brilliance, and this is a result that nobody will ever forget. James out of the England left-hand side for Eza. Curtis Jones can bring it forward to Burn, to Conser. Chipped over the top of the run of Madueke, too much on it, and straight out of play for a goal kick. We're not too far away from the last 10 minutes now, with England still only 1 goal to the good.
Yeah, as I say, the likes of Trent and Eza, who's come on, have failed to have an impact so far. I don't think Eza's been fed with the ball a great deal, I've got to say. And they've settled into this slow sort of build-up scenario that's not been helpful to us.
It looked like an Andorran handball on halfway, and I think one of the assistants spotted it, and the referee was slightly unsighted. Lopez just using his right hand to control it, and England have a free kick which has been taken again back towards Burn. Burn to James. James out towards Eza. And Eza coming in off the left flank, lays it back again for Reece James. Down towards Burn. Gordon and Rice about to come on for England. With just over 10 minutes to try and make improvements that are necessary to this performance. I think Thomas Tuchel will be criticised for the way that England have played here, and he will be more than mindful of the need for wholesale quick improvement on Tuesday night against Senegal at the City Ground, live on Talksport. Alexander-Arnold chipping it down the right hand side of the box. Kane chasing after that. It's overhit, goes out of play, and it's another Andorran goal kick.
Yeah, just reaching for the substitutes bench now. Gordon and Rice look as though they're coming on. As you say, they're looking for a little bit of inspiration. Certainly the last 2 substitutions have not offered that as yet. And it'll be a really frustrating one, working with a team this week like they have, and we certainly wanted a performance.
It has has it come. Kane heading the ball on here to the left-hand side of the penalty area. Morgan Rogers trying to turn the ball back through the box. Blocked by Yavera. And recycled then by Rogers. Played forward towards Ezra inside the box. Low ball across the edge of the 6-yard box. Kane might be able to get on the end of that. Ends up face down. No complaints, though, from the England captain that he was fouled. He couldn't get a shot away. And Andorra, again, able to clear their lines as Rice and Gordon continue to wait for permission to come on.
That man, Christian Garcia, once again at full stretch, going back towards his own goal, managed to get the cut out. If it wasn't for that, Kane knows exactly where to be.
It's a good international summer coming your way here on the Talksport network with the Under-21 European Championships starting on Thursday. England's first game against the Czech Republic. That is live on Talksport 2, 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. On Thursday night, I beg your pardon, the 12th, as England win a free kick here, a couple of yards outside the penalty area. And that will allow them the opportunity to make this double change. First off, Rogers, who's going to be replaced by Gordon. What have you made of Morgan Rogers today?
Well, I think he's been steady away. I think out of the two wide players, he's been the least effective, but he has been effective in his own way. I felt a bit sorry for him. He's not received the ball early enough from Konsa, and that's been a consistent for the time that he's been on. So that's been you need supply of the ball, and you need it quickly in the wide areas.
And the other change sees Declan Rice come on for Curtis Jones, who has predominantly played at right back in this hybrid role and then has moved into midfield after Trent came on.
Yeah, I think we've just brought a free kick expert on that's decided not to take it in Declan Rice.
Yeah, almost position A for him, but this is an England side have got no shortage of players that will fancy their chances from here. Not least Reece James, who pinged one in against Latvia. And Trent Alexander-Arnold has also got a burgeoning repertoire of free kicks from just outside the penalty area. Those are the two players that are standing over this. They've also got the option just to tease it to the right-hand side for Eza, who's unmarked, almost on the edge of the D. Andorra got everybody back. The goalkeeper inside the 6-yard box, and he's got 6 in a wall and another one down behind it, in case James or Alexander-Arnold decide to try and go under the wall.
I'll tell you the free kick here. It should be James to Eza, who stops it, and Trent comes on and strikes it. And the two players in Kane and Byrne that are in there should be blockers to stop the Chargers getting to them. They're not going to do that, but that should be it to open the goal up.
So Kane and Byrne, you would imagine, will peel away pretty quickly here, and it's a disappointing effort from James, who's got his right foot underneath it and flighted it well over the bar. Big setup, but not a big finish.
Yeah, poor finish there. Probably had too long to think about it, and as you say, you've got the likes of Declan Rice. Admittedly, Reece James has delivered a wonderful free kick last time out, but I think they would have been better off working an angle.
So one final Andorran change, and Joel Guillen comes off. He'll be replaced by Eric de las Heras, who comes on for just his 4th international appearance, and 3 of those have come off the bench. So he gets a few minutes against England, who lead by just 1 goal to 0. Talk about the Under-21 European Championship coming up. The Women's Euros are starting soon, and all of England's games on the Talksport network for that as well. We've got the Soccer A game in a week's time. And don't forget the boxing tonight, Fabio Wardley's fight from Portman Road, top of the bill. Live from Ipswich this evening here on the Talksport network, the Talksport boxing YouTube channel. Good place to keep abreast of everything that's going on there as well. This one, 1-0 to England. Harry Kane's goal 5 minutes into the second half, and we've played 33 minutes since then without any further addition to the scoreline. 18 shots to 4 in England's favour, 10 shots on target without reply. But more shots in that disappointing first half than we've seen in the second, notwithstanding that Kane's goal did come after half-time. Declan Rice is in possession now. He's played it back through the midfield towards Dan Byrne. Clipped over the top by Reece James. Anthony Gordon able to bring it down, flash of blonde hair over on that far touchline as he won a corner. Now the ball comes back off the corner flag, just the other side of it. It's an England throw down by the quadrant. Gordon will attempt to take that about 15 yards away. And in fact, by the time England do restart play, it's almost adrift at the edge of the penalty area. Kane back towards Byrne. Forward towards Dan Kane again. Another win to nil coming up for England seemingly, but a disappointing performance, the worst of the three under Thomas Tuchel so far. It will, though, extend the winning run to 6, and it's the first time that England have won 6 in a row since they had a run of 7 back in the 2020-21 campaign. And England will try and emulate that run of 7 against Senegal on Tuesday. Alvarez, the Andorran goalkeeper, might just carry the ball outside the penalty area before launching it forward, right-footed upfield. Ball brought down in the heart of the midfield by Berchiesa. And Eza will go back to Reece James, played out towards Gordon. And Gordon cutting inside, plays it back towards Dan Byrne again. 5.5 to go here on Talksport. Harry Kane's goal, the difference between the two teams. Coming off the England right, Noni Madueke, who may well end up with the highest rating for any of the England players. Those England ratings with Adrian Durham on the Talksport YouTube channel later. And I'm guessing that if you add all the ratings up, we'll end up less than 100, but we'll see between us if I'm right. I see that he's actually writing them now. I think we will be, maybe some way under 100. Your reaction to come as well, Stuart Pearce and Adrian and myself with the England debrief, which is also on the Talksport YouTube channel, which you'll be able to watch at your leisure, and your reaction to come with Rory Jennings on 0371722 3344. A reaction that doesn't feel as though it's going to be sitting in the balance tonight. Dan Byrne bringing the ball forward. Declan Rice has got it, and he's played it to his right-hand side now for Konsa. Now back from him to Byrne, to James. Back for Byrne once more. Byrne. Again, very sterile build-up from England from the back. James just side-footing it forward now for Eza. Eza to Kane, who's given a shove in the back by Christian Garcia, having dispensed with the ball. He's certainly been the standout performer along with the goalkeeper for Andorra. Another ball in from Konsa here, but he's overhit and then looks at Bellingham and asks why he didn't get closer to it. Goes straight through for the goalkeeper. They whacked it forward quickly, but Alexander-Arnold has been able to deal with the run from Servos. And England can bring it away here with Ezri Konsa. And they've only got another 5 minutes or so to protect this 1-0 lead. Reece James out towards Gordon in front of the pocket of England supporters over on that far touchline. Rice has got it again. Rice now to Bellingham. Bellingham down towards Noni Madueke. Madueke rolling his studs of his right foot over the top of the ball before flicking it back towards Trent Alexander-Arnold. Byrne out to the England left-hand side once more. The number of England supporters in the ground has slowly been decreasing over the last 10-15 minutes or so, as we've taken the opportunity to head into town about 15-20 minutes from here, some 7 miles or so. An opportunity to get the first beers in of the evening session, and England will make a final change. You can see Morgan Gibbs-White coming on for just his 3rd international appearance and his debut in Ireland. 15 minutes he got there. 2nd cap in Greece where he got 12. And a 3rd cap tonight here in Barcelona where he's going to probably only see about 4 minutes of action. Got 2 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Ball over on the England left-hand side. James with good strength. Kane. Just came towards the ball, let it roll past him, and he could turn and get England going forward again. Rice has got it now. Rice to Konsa. Konsa on halfway into the feet of Alexander-Arnold. Back from him to Byrne. Byrne to James. Madueke waiting on the right-hand side. Gordon out on the left. England not using the width too much at the moment. Alexander-Arnold now trying to work it forward in towards that congested central area where Kane was dropping off. Loose ball breaks back Trent's ways. Fired one forward which curves away from the edge of the penalty area into Anthony Gordon's flight path. Gordon can work it back through the midfield, and it's rolled away from Rice. And Andorra have it back. I mean, they're only 10 yards outside their own penalty area. They've lost it just as quickly. Ezza doing well to win it back. Madueke to Trent. Now come forward towards Bellingham. Bellingham to Rice. Rice to his left-hand side. Out to Anthony Gordon again. Via a touch from James. Pull back towards Ezza. And Ezza's ball goes back in behind Reece James. One of the things that Tuchel talked about before the game started, Stuart, as we get more boost from England fans, the ability to counter-press and win possession back. That was something that we saw there. It was good play by Ezza to facilitate that.
Yeah, it certainly was. It's an important part of the game as well. If you don't press as soon as you lose it up the pitch, you've probably got 50, 100 yards of running to do to retreat to end up getting the ball back, certainly against the better sides.
Rice, Madueke, Kane working it forward. Madueke was blocked off. And the loose ball will be picked up in the left back position by Mark Garcia. Andorra bring it forward down the left hand touchline again with only about 15 seconds to go until added time. Still Gibbs White hasn't had the opportunity to come on as yet. Dan Burn coming across, hooks the ball away with his right foot. It's brought down by Savos. Savos getting away from Kane, making his way towards the edge of the penalty area. Lopez getting towards the byline. He can fire a cross in, but straight to Dan Burn. Burn forward towards Kane. Kane knew the challenge was coming, buys the free kick. Now we go into stoppage time. As we do so, Morgan Gibbs-White is going to get the chance to come on. Madueke just having an argument with the Croatian assistant referee for the non-award of a free kick. That previous passage of play, Gibbs-White comes on for Bellingham as we go into stoppage time here in Barcelona.
Yeah, as I say, it's been certainly a pleasing result, 1-0. We've got another 3 points in the group, but the performance has not showed enough energy or guile within the game to get us off our seats too often.
Do you feel for Morgan Gibbs-White only getting 3 minutes to show his wares here?
It depends on what he wanted to see from the starters, and it depends on whether he's looking to start him in the next game, you know, at his own turf at the City Ground.
Well, you would imagine that will be the case. Could well be up against the former Forest centre-half in Nia Karte for Senegal. That game coming your way on Tuesday. I think we'll be hoping to prove on Tuesday night that this has just been a very poor performance in isolation, but it has been a very poor performance. Rice has been caught here and has stayed down injured for a moment. We're in 3 minutes of added time. We're already halfway through that. Rice back on his feet will just limp away for a moment. And England take the free kick, and Trent, despite the fact that Rice seemed stricken, just played it straight to him and then gets it back immediately. Concert back towards Dan Burn. England will be maintaining their 100% record against Andorra. They've won all 6 previous meetings, but none of them have been as narrow as this. Pickford will clear from the edge of his 6-yard box. High ball forward. Anthony Gordon's offside. First offside flag that we've seen in the game coming in the final minute of stoppage time. And he gives Andorra a free kick, 15 yards inside their half. And the hundreds, maybe 1,500 Andorran supporters rise to their feet because they know that one telling ball here, and you just never know. Pumped forward long by Alvarez, straight onto the head of Dan Burn, who can head it away and find Anthony Gordon. Newcastle players working in tandem, and now he can work it forward out of the left-hand side. Morgan Gibbs-White can come forward, running towards the edge of the penalty area. Good ball in, and he should be put in for 2. Madueke's missed it from a tight angle. Could probably have walked the ball into the net. Went first time and went parallel to the goal line, and Alvarez was very grateful to be able to pounce on the ball and keep England's margin of victory at 1. The full-time whistle. More boos from the England fans that have stayed in. It is a win, and and England maintain their 100% record in this qualifying campaign. But Thomas Tuchel will hope that is the worst that he ever sees England play when he's in charge. Very little to write home about, except for a Harry Kane goal 5 minutes into the second half. We talked at half-time about the checklist of positives that Thomas Tuchel wanted to see from this performance. Very few of those were forthcoming. This one to write off and hope that better is to come on Tuesday and further down the line. Andorra 0, England 1.
Well, 3 World Cup qualifiers for Thomas Tuchel, 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. But that's just about where the positives end. Serbia played their first qualifier tonight away to Albania in this group. Now, if England play like this in the 2 games against Serbia, they could well be undone. The winner of the group goes through. Second place is a playoff. England are expected to win this group. But a lot of things are expected of England, but I don't think it's unreasonable, Stuart Pearce, to expect England to play way, way better than that.
Well, in all honesty, that last effort for England would have probably flattered the performance, I've got to say, if they had put that in the back of the net. Credit to Andorra. I thought the best 2 players on the pitch were the Alvarez in goal for them and Christian Garcia, the number 6, the centre-half. I thought they were outstanding for Andorra, but England didn't play with enough tempo. They didn't build up from the back quickly enough. They didn't feed the players that were going to make a difference to us quickly enough in Madueke and Rodgers, which they should have done.
Well, the England players are going over to the England fans. Well, the England fans that are left, because a lot of them have gone into the middle of Barcelona to just try and find some entertainment, because it wasn't coming here. And to be fair, those England fans are giving them applause back. Harry Kane leads the England players towards the England fans. Listen, they paid a lot of money, as they always do, and they've come over in their numbers to support the England team. The England support cannot be questioned. Cannot be questioned. The England players definitely can be questioned, and I think the manager as well. Thomas Tuchel said he wants what he called a clear and solid win. He said that yesterday, Stuart. He hasn't got that, has he?
No, he's just got a win, if truth be known. A win with a lot of questions attached to it as well, for certain situations and players in certain positions. As I say, I think tactically, I'm not sure the 2 left and right central defenders in the 3 were in the right positions, without a doubt for me. I thought that before the game, to be fair, and certainly the more the game went on, the more it is evident that was the case. Cole Palmer playing a bit sluggish and slow. That wasn't needed today, that lethargy. It was high tempo, moved the ball quickly with electricity in your feet. We didn't see that from him, and not enough of the players. I think probably only Madueke come away from this situation and said, you know what, I'm a positive for you today.
I agree with that. He did miss a sitter at the end, though. And Cole Palmer being subbed off after 65 when he's made a big impression in a European final, albeit the 3rd most important of the European finals, but he made a big impression in that final, a big game for Chelsea. But he's subbed off after 65 minutes. And you're talking technically and tactically about the way the team was set up, the way they tried to play and what went wrong with it. And that's what we need to do, because it's okay saying, well, that was rubbish, that was garbage. Everybody can see that. All the fans can see that. But we need to know why. Thomas Tuchel needs to work out why. I mean, what he has found out today is this isn't going to be a way forward for England. He set out, and we said this before the game, he set out yesterday what he wanted from this game. He said he wanted England to be very offensive. Now, they were offensive, but Andorra made it easy for them to be offensive. So that box is ticked, but almost by default. He wanted to know, how often did we break their deep line down? So they're defending deep. How often did we break that down? Not enough is the answer. How often did we get in the box? Well, touches in the box. I mean, there's plenty of them. But the big question is the second one he asked of those 2. How often are we dangerous in their box? Again, nowhere near enough, I don't think.
Yeah, that's a fair synopsis of what we saw today. And, this performance, I think anywhere over the last 3 or 4 years, this performance would rank as poor as we've seen, if truth be known, So there's a lot to learn. And if you're a manager, the coaching staff and whatever, I saw the frustration with his body language late on that we weren't building up quickly enough, And as I say, for good and for bad, as a manager, you learn and there's a manager down there that's got a wealth of experience. He's won trophies everywhere, and he would have learnt a lot from this performance today.
And you came out with a quote, which is a Brian Clough quote in the middle of that second half. The difference between you and a lower league player is you can do it quicker. So do it quicker. And so often I saw really good players who shine in the Premier League and in leagues abroad, who are, these are top level elite players, and they're taking so many touches. They're passing sideways or backwards by defaults. They're not trying to look forward enough. They're not trying to pass forward enough. They're not even expressing themselves and showing quality. If this was Gareth Southgate in charge, everybody would be saying he needs to take the handbrake off. Well, it's more than that. I mean, they've got bricks under the wheels here. This is appalling from England. But as much as we can look at the manager and he needs to rectify it, it's his name above the door, absolutely get that. Some of those players have to look at themselves as well, surely.
Yeah, you've got to see it. You've got to dictate to your teammate in games. It's like if I'm Rodgers out on the wing here. Sorry, Morgan Rodgers. I've got Nile Rodgers there. I've watched too much music, Aid. Sorry.
A freak.
If you stood out in a wide area, you're saying to Conser, "Give me the bloody ball a bit earlier, son, will you? I want to take him on," and you're dilly-dallying with a ball. If you've got room in front of you, drive with the ball and see if you can commit a midfield player, then play it. I didn't see Reece James or Conser on any occasion go past a midfield player or their wide player. And Reece James is an attacking winger. So there's one or two things here. He's playing in the wrong position on the left-hand side and felt very uncomfortable and didn't want to do it, or he's not that player anymore. And, whichever way it was, they needed to burst forward to free up some space ahead of them, and they needed to feed their wide players. Because, the goals ended up coming from Madueke. He's the one who's got on the end of things, and he was the one that looked as though he'd supply across the face of goal, or Rodgers, one of the two. That's where the goal was coming from. So what do? You look at that straight away and say, I've got to give you the ball as soon as I possibly can, and back you up or go beyond you, whatever's best for you.
And I suppose, we're saying it's rubbish, we're saying that players have got to do better, managers got to do better. What he's also learning is that some players can't do everything. There will be limitations to certain players, and he's learning that now. And to learn it against Andorra, when it's 1-0 and they're going forward and there's a bit of a panic on, if they nick a goal, then winning the group is in...